Hi there, Malcolm here with my 291st Booktube video, and today I'll be bringing you a review for The Book of Deogenesis by Samuel Planck. This is a self-published book by another booktuber. I'll leave both the link to his channel down below and the link to this book on Amazon. A couple of months ago, Samuel was very kind to review my book, two similar links down below, and so it's only fair that I return the favour. So, The Book of Deogenesis is a science fiction post-apocalyptic book set in the far future on an Earth that has been knocked out of orbit due to war and strife and is hurtling through the void. And upon this desolate planet, a great city is pulled by specially bred mutant beasts of burden, whose role it is to drag the city around the planet and to consume the radioactive toxic junk left behind from the war. And they are in pursuit of another city that holds the other half of a superweapon, or the superweapon that knocked them out of orbit, with the idea of activating it again to see if they can be knocked back into orbit. At the surface, that is pretty much the plot. The story is told from the point of view mostly from one of these created beasts called 8, and we follow him as he wakes up for the first time and is immediately collared with this device. And you learn about the world through his eyes. And it is a bleak, desolate world full of death, as 8 and his fellow Guylims are forced through blind obedience and coercion, with painful punishment for not following orders, to do the bidding of the occupants of this city, namely the Golden Goddess, who acts as their deity. But very quickly, the reader can pick up that not everything is as it seems. There's something very fishy going on. And sure enough, we do very quickly find out the truth behind that. I'm not going to give that away. And we do jump to the point of view of one of these humans within the city, which more or less cemented my suspicions. It was a straightforward story at 132 pages. It was quite concise, with the story unfolding at a good pace. The lack of description about this world is twofold. One, it's from a point of a newborn who's still learning about the world around him. And two, it's a desolate landscape. There's only so many ways you can describe desolate landscape. And I really enjoyed the conclusion. I thought the story wrapped up very nicely, with that sense of inevitability. Of course it was going to end up like that. How could it not? And even if it had ended differently, humanity's fate was pretty much sealed already. It was only a matter of time, really. Now, keeping it vague, yeah, I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the imagination of it. And you can definitely tell that this is written by a man who has seen and been through harrowing experiences. This does not shine a good light on war. Not what I think you can, to be honest. But is a real dig at blind obedience and religious dogma over actual genuine faith. I certainly read this as a healing book, both for the author and for others who are in need of a cathartic tale that shows that there can be light at the end of the tunnel, and the only reason there isn't is because there's some damn human who's blocking it. Now, when it comes to science fiction, particularly when you're dealing with either alien planets or future worlds, in this case it's a future one, whereas a lot of what has gone before has been lost or forgotten, some authors choose to give us a fresh vocabulary to a degree. And indeed, this one is full of weird and wacky words. The letter Y is used a lot. And I know that can put off a lot of readers. It's like, why have I got to learn a whole new language in order to read this? To be honest, there's not that many, and they're used frequently enough that you soon learn which one's which. And at the back of the book is a glossary of these terms, told in universe, as it were, and written after the events of the book. And many of the words are close enough, or with the description, you get enough hints to actually know what the word could have been. It's like Guylim, I believe, is the word golem. These things are created, and they're treated as if they are golems, and that is pretty much their role. There's a few other things that crop in there as well. There's a few surprises, but I'm not going to spoil those for you. I think I would have liked maybe a pronunciation hint on how to say some of these words. I know some authors are perfectly happy that the readers can pronounce these words any which way, but this word, for example, my mouth does all sorts of strange things and I still can't come up with anything sensible. But I think it's a derivative of crusade, that one. That sort of thing. Another thing I think would have helped perhaps, but particularly as we have this wonderful illustration at the front and at the back, is to have, certainly for the nouns, having an illustration showing roughly what this thing would look like. Harry Harrison's West of Eden series has a glossary at the back, and all the things have a nice picture showing what they look like. Okay, I didn't need to see what a triceratops looked like, I know with that one, but some of the other genetically created creatures, it helps sometimes. But the descriptions are sufficient that you can fill in the blanks yourself. But certainly when you have a novella and you don't have the time or the space to flush out descriptive prose about what this thing looks like, a quick little picture could have been a nice touch. And who knows, when he sells his millionth copy, maybe he'll get a special edition with pictures in it. There's also a pseudo-religious undertones to this. Like I say, they've got the golden goddess who encourages via coercion, discipline and twisting the truth to get her Guylims to drag her city across the wilderness as a constructive belief system. And further on in the story, they do encounter a Bible. It doesn't get bogged down in the theology, but it certainly doesn't shy away from this need to find answers in something that's greater than yourself, particularly if you've been through some terrible circumstance and it's just trying to rationalise it, trying to say, well, why, if there is such a power, why do these bad things happen? It doesn't necessarily ask these questions or even try to answer them, but it does acknowledge that there is a place for these questions, and regardless of how you find yourself at that point, or even what you find out as an answer to these questions, if you do, it can be, again, a healing process for some. So yeah, skinny little thing, but quite thick content in terms of ideas and healing. It is a book about healing, and certainly the way the story finishes off and the things that are happening towards the end of the story, it is certainly a healing book. So I'm going to say booktastic. I think it's always brave to put out a book itself published that hasn't gone through an official editorial thing. I mean, I think this one is actually pretty well edited. Samuel complained that my book wasn't, which is a fair thing to point out. So like I say, his was actually pretty well edited. And I actually imagine this would make a pretty interesting 8-episode anime series, with these fantastical creatures with their abilities, this golden goddess as she floats ahead of everybody in her flowing dresses, and it's very anime, I thought. And even the cities themselves and how they work. That's just my takeaway from that anyway. Yeah, so the Book of Deogenesis, do go check it out. Go check out Sam's YouTube channel, who, like me, talks about a lot of quite obscure science fiction, stuff that's not normally talked about. So it's great to fill in that niche. And it's actually quite rare that both of us actually talk about the same thing, which is great, actually. Do go check it out. Like I say, all the links are down below for his book, for my book, his channel, his review for my book. Give this man a lot of love. So there you go. I hope you enjoyed that. Comments down below, please. But as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and other YouTubey things. If you want, until next time, see you later.